Now we saw how photosynthesis took place in plants. We also saw in animals and human beings how the food is assimilated, absorbed in the human beings and animals. But now the food is digested. How it is used in the bodies? What will happen to that food, assimilated food? Now the energy which is released from the assimilated food has to be used in various activities. So I can say the process of release of energy from assimilated food is called respiration. We are respiring, continuously we are respiring. When I say respiring, that means I am taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. Then when I am taking in the air, the air is going in my lungs. Those lungs are involved in absorption of oxygen. And when I am giving out air, that means the carbon dioxide from my body is given out or thrown out of the lungs. This whole process actually is involving the release of energy from the assimilated food. So the definition of respiration, if you are asked, the process of the release of energy from the assimilated food is called respiration. Now maximum we have seen that in the respiration we are taking in oxygen, but there are some organisms which respire in the absence of oxygen also. There are some organisms or cells which respire if the oxygen is less also. So there are different types of respiration we can say. Broadly we are going to study two types of respiration: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. We human beings are taking in oxygen during the respiration. So we are actually following the aerobic type of respiration. Anaerobic type of respiration is generally seen in the small organisms. For example, you can say yeast. Yeast does not require the oxygen for respiration. It can go on respiring without the oxygen. We are going to see the different pathways later in this lesson, but now broadly you understand what is aerobic and what is anaerobic respiration. The process of respiration taking place in the presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration generally takes place in animals and human beings. Anaerobic respiration, the type of respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen, that is called as anaerobic type of respiration. Now what is respiration? Is it a simple process or it is a very difficult or complex process? Actually respiration is a very complex process. The oxygen has to enter your body, it has to go to the lungs, then from the lungs it will be absorbed by the blood. This blood takes in the oxygen to different parts of your body. Now the assimilated food means the absorbed food has already reached the cells and the tissues. Now this oxygen, when it reaches, it oxidizes and it breaks down the carbohydrate and releases carbon dioxide and water and lot of energy. This process looks simple, but it is a very complex process. This complex process we can say it is of two types again: external respiration and internal respiration. So what is external respiration? Which you are observing, which you are doing, taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. In simple terms, it is called breathing. Now if I say, are you breathing? You will say, yes, I am breathing. I am taking in oxygen and few moments I am giving out some air which is full of carbon dioxide. So breathing is also called as external respiration. So respiration is again of two types: breathing, I can say it is external respiration, and internal, that means cellular respiration, or internal. Now in this case, breathing, we are only concerned with how the air goes inside the lungs, and the waste material, that is the carbon dioxide, is coming out through the air outside the lungs. When we are only bothered about breathing, that is called as external respiration. But when we go deep inside the theory that what happens in each cell, what happens in each tissue, how the carbohydrate is broken down and energy is released, that time we are concerned that it is happening in each cell, each tissue, and that's why it is called as cellular respiration or internal respiration. This we see in the lungs, and maximum cellular respiration is found in mitochondria part of the cell. Now in 9th standard you have heard or you have learnt about mitochondria. Mitochondria is the type of organelle which is also called as powerhouse of the cell, which is producing large amount of energy and also storing it. So cellular respiration is mostly found in the mitochondria part of the cell. So here we have studied broadly that respiration is in the presence of oxygen, it is called as aerobic respiration. Respiration in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. Respiration outside, that means only when breathing part is concerned, where it is called as external respiration. And the respiration when we are concerned with what happens inside the cell or the tissue, it is called as cellular respiration, which mostly takes place in the mitochondria. Now there is activity 10.11 on page 122. Just go through the activity. I'll explain you the activity and you will understand. Take 2 test tubes and fill half of each test tube with freshly prepared lime water. Now they have asked us to take 2 test tubes. Let's name it A and B, and you have to take the freshly prepared lime water. Now what is lime water? Is it lemon juice in water? No. Here we are talking about the chemical compound lime water. Lime water is calcium hydroxide. It's also called as lime water. Another name for it is slaked lime. So I'll just tell you, this is also called as lime water or slaked lime. Now the freshly prepared calcium hydroxide or lime water is taken in both the test tubes equal. That means if I am taking 5 ml here, here also 5 ml should be taken, equal amount should be taken. Now in the first test tube marked as A, blow air repeatedly from the mouth till a color change is observed. Now what are they telling us? Take A test tube filled with lime water and blow in the lime water continuously. Blow means give out. That means when you give out or breathe out, that is called blowing. You continuously breathe out for some few minutes in the test tube A. Do you see any change in the color? You will see the change in the color. What happens? This lime water was very clear solution. Okay, it was very clear solution, and when I continuously blow inside, what will happen? This clear solution turns milky. It gets a consistency like milky because some reaction has taken place, and this shows that some gas is coming out from my breathing out when I am blowing in the air, in the A solution. That air or that constituent of the air is mixing with the lime water and some reaction is taking place. That's why the clear solution became milky. In the second test tube labeled as B, release air through syringe or pitchkari. Now you can use a syringe here in this. What is a syringe? The injection which we get, that is actually the syringe, a small syringe. If you don't have a syringe, that pitchkari which you use in the Holi, you play Holi, you get pitchkari, it's also the same working of syringe. Now this in the syringe, in the B part, you blow the air with the syringe. Now that air outside is going inside the syringe and then it is going in the B solution. Here I am directly blowing, here I am trying to blow the external air through syringe. Do you find any change here? You may find change after maybe more time compared to A. What has happened? In A, I am blowing air directly from my mouth. When I blow out, lot of carbon dioxide is present in my breath. That carbon dioxide has reacted with calcium hydroxide. But when I blow air in this B test tube through syringe, the carbon dioxide content in the air is comparatively less than my blowing out air. So in that only 0.03% carbon dioxide is there. So it takes lot of time to convert the clear solution into milky solution. So what it proves, what are we trying to prove? We are trying to prove that when I breathe out, my breath is having lot of carbon dioxide as compared to other gas, and that carbon dioxide has reacted with the lime water and turned milky. Actually this test is called the test for presence of carbon dioxide. So milkiness will come because calcium hydroxide has reacted with carbon dioxide forming CaCO3 plus water. Now what is CaCO3? It is calcium carbonate. This calcium carbonate is actually a form of precipitate which is formed, and this precipitate is whitish in color, so it turns the solution milkiness. Now we see that it is coming white in color. This is due to the formation of calcium carbonate. Carbon dioxide is present in air, but it takes much longer time as compared to A to turn into milky solution. Note down how long it takes for lime water in each test tube. So your answer should be, in A it takes less time to convert to milky solution, but in B it takes more time as compared to A. What does it tell about the amount of carbon dioxide in the air that we breathe out? It tells that when we breathe out, the carbon dioxide content is too much as compared to when we breathe inside the air. Because when we take in air, the air which we have around us is having more of oxygen and less of carbon dioxide. And when we blow out, our body has produced carbon dioxide, and that we are trying to blow out. So that is this is the reason why the first test tube A showed the milkiness much faster than B. We saw what is breathing, what is external and internal respiration, but through which organ this respiration takes place. I want to ask a simple question. I want to ask how the exchange of gases takes place in animals. You can imagine different types of animals. The animal living on the territory or the land, or the animal living in water. How do they exchange gases? All the gases will be exchanged in the body and the atmosphere through diffusion. Then what is the difference? Which organs are involved? Now if I consider myself, that is a human being, I will say the lungs are involved in the exchange of gases. But what about the aquatic animals? There are some animals which are so small and so tiny, what happens? They don't have lungs. So their skin acts as a substance which actually absorbs the gas and gives out the gas. So I can say lungs are the respiratory part, or the skin also exchange of gases, through the skin also exchange of gases takes place. What about the water animals, or the animals which are living in water, or the aquatic animals? Take the simple example of fish. Everyone has seen a fish. Now how does the fish respire in water? Is it able to respire? Now in water, the amount of oxygen is less as compared to air. So how does it take it? That's why it doesn't have lungs. It doesn't open its mouth like this, take the air and come inside. We are talking about the normal aquatic animal. In the fish, what happens when the fish is inside the water? It opens its mouth continuously. You must have seen continuous opening of mouth take place. Through the mouth, water enters the body. Now this water enters the body, it passes over the part which is known as gills. So through the mouth the water is entering, then it goes through the gill. Now gills are the plate-like structure which are having the capability of absorbing oxygen from the water, and these gills absorb the water. But this process takes place very fast. That means continuous water is going, as the amount of water present, the amount of oxygen present in the water is very less. So they need more and more water faster to take the requirement of the oxygen. takes place generally in the fishes or any aquatic animals. This we are talking about aquatic animals. Then what about terrestrial animals? Terrestrial animals which are living on land. Now as I said, some animals are able, which are very small, which have very thin skin, they are able to respire through the skin also. The diffusion can take place through skin. But in higher animals and human beings, here the lungs are involved. Now in the lungs we are going to study what is present in the lungs. But before that, when the oxygen is absorbed, there should be some big surface for it to get absorbed in the tissues and the cells. So every organism will have some mechanism to absorb this oxygen and give out carbon dioxide through a huge surface. Wherever in the lungs, you are going to see how the lungs have different type of alveoli structure which is increasing the surface area. Now there are some organisms like earthworm, they don't have lungs like us. They respire through skin, and their skin is so thin that the diffusion of gas can easily take place. They are also terrestrial animals found on land. So how does the respiration start? So we can say that we have a respiratory tract. Tract means the pipe through which the air is going to go. The respiratory tract starts from this nostril. This is called an external nostril. When the air enters the nose, the air has to get filtered. Now this is a mechanism in the body. Automatically the air is getting filtered through the fine hair inside our nose. Very fine hair are there. There are some mucus glands. Now what are mucus glands? They are small glands which are actually secreting the mucus or the watery substance. Now this mucus, what is the role of mucus? Why it should be present in the nose? This mucus absorbs or stops the flow of any dirt particles, any dust particles entering in our nose. So hair filters the air, and the mucus, it helps in stopping the dirt or the dust which might enter through the nose. So these are the small things which are actually present in our nose. Now then it goes inside the pipe which is called the air passage, we can say. Through the air passage it enters the lungs. Now when it enters the lung, actually before entering the lung, there is a pipe like this, and that is called as bronchi, and that bronchi divides into two lungs. Now we have two lungs on the either side of the heart. So two lungs will have the two pipes coming from the common bronchi. I will explain you with the help of a diagram. Now I will try to explain the various organs involved in the process of respiration. Now this is a simple diagram of respiratory organs in humans. The air is entering through the nostril. It is first coming across pharynx. Now there are the different types of organs which are present. First is pharynx, then larynx. The first part which it is going to touch is the pharynx part. Second part is the larynx or the voice box which we see here. So this is first is the larynx, then pharynx, then larynx. Then it enters a tract which is called as trachea. It's a tubular structure. That tube is going to divide into two lungs, and this tube actually is a bronchi which is going to divide in the left lung and the right lung. Now as I said, these two lungs, where are they present? They are present in the thorax region of your body. Now what is thorax region? The upper part is thorax and the lower part is abdomen. So the upper part where your heart is present, surrounding the heart or the sides of the heart, two lungs will be there. These are the two lungs. In between these two lungs, the heart is fitted. So our body is quite compactly fit, and here the thoracic region, we can say these lungs are present in the thoracic region of your body. Thorax region or thoracic region means the same. This is the thoracic region where your lungs are present on the either side of heart. The air as it enters, it is called the air passage. The first part is pharynx, the second part is larynx. Now these are the different parts through which the air first here is getting filtered, then it is going through the larynx, then it is entering the tube which is called as trachea. This tube trachea is found in small insects also, but in small insects it doesn't open in the lungs, it opens in the small bubbles like structure in small insects. This I will explain when I come here. This trachea is a tube. This tube is divided into two lungs, which are known as bronchi. Bronchus or bronchi. Bronchus is singular, bronchi is plural. This bronchus or bronchi, it is dividing further into, you can see it is having different branches. These different branches actually are called bronchioles, and this bronchioles open into balloon like structure like this, which is called as alveoli. Here you have to remember how the air enters. What are the various parts? The air is entering through the air passage. First part of the respiratory organ is pharynx. Then the second part which comes, which I have shown in the blue color, is larynx. Then it enters the tube which is called as trachea. This tube divides into two lungs, that is called as bronchi. This bronchi have a network of small tubes which is called as bronchioles. This bronchioles opens up into balloon like structures which are called as alveoli. Now what is the importance of alveoli here? The alveoli actually are the balloon shaped structure because it is trying to increase the surface area for absorption of oxygen. The absorption of oxygen has to take place. Now once the absorption of oxygen is taking place in alveoli, where does it go? It has to go in the blood. So there are number of blood vessels inside the lungs also. The blood vessels like arteries and veins. These blood vessels form the very small network when number of capillaries are also there which are actually taking part in absorption of oxygen. The alveoli has taken in the oxygen. This oxygen will be passed on to now the blood vessels or the capillaries and arteries. These blood vessels carry blood. Now which part of the blood will get attached to the oxygen? This is a very important very important question. We all know what is hemoglobin. Have you heard about hemoglobin? We say no, hemoglobin went down, so I am feeling very tired nowadays. This is a common problem with many of the people as according to the age we can say. Hemoglobin is actually the pigment, red pigment which is present in red blood corpuscles, which is making the blood red. The hemoglobin part gets attached to the oxygen and it forms oxyhemoglobin, and this oxyhemoglobin travels with the blood to all the parts of the body and provides oxygen wherever required. So what is happening? Again, the air is entering, the alveoli is absorbing all the oxygen from the air. This oxygen is transported to the blood. In the blood there is a red pigment which is called as hemoglobin, which is present in the RBC or red blood corpuscles of the blood. Now this hemoglobin get attached to the oxygen, it forms oxyhemoglobin which travels down the whole body and supplies oxygen wherever necessary. So this is the whole procedure how the respiration in humans takes place. Now we were talking of alveoli. There are so many alveoli present in the lungs, and it is said that if I spread this alveoli on the surface, it might cover 80 square meters. Such a big surface area actually is provided by our body to absorb the oxygen, and this oxygen is carried by hemoglobin. Now if there was no hemoglobin, what would have happened? If the oxygen would have gone to each and every cell through diffusion, and diffusion is a very slow process. So if there was no hemoglobin, through the process of diffusion, oxygen would have reached your leg maybe after some years. So much time it takes the diffusion through the liquid medium of blood. So hemoglobin and alveoli plays a very important role in absorption of oxygen and transport of oxygen to different parts of your body.